Now, if you want to know more about how your outer world and your inner world actually mirror each other, then you may well want to check out my Co-Creation Success course, which is going live the 31st of July with me. It's just running for 6 weeks. Details will be posted with this video. But essentially, it is a guide to understanding how to get where you want to go and how we are unconsciously miscreating until we choose to be conscious co-creators of our reality. So right now, the snippet I wanted to focus on was really on your shadow, on the shadow. So when you are setting an intention to shift something in your life and you are doing everything within your power to make that shift, and it seems like you're doing everything in your power to do it, but you're not getting back the results that you want. So you keep hitting a brick wall. You keep saying, right, I'm prosperous, I'm wealthy, and then you get another bill coming through. You get something else coming through that's like, no, really? What's this all about? This isn't what I want. And what's important to understand about the shadow is the shadow, which we often call our shadow, my shadow, is just all of the patterns of behaviour, beliefs, perceptions of the world, programming that we've inherited from our ancestors. And this is no blame, because they inherited from their ancestors too. But what happens is we talk about things and we personalise them. So my jealousy, my shame, my terrible tough luck story, my traumatic birth that has shaped me in such a way that I can't move forward. These are all stories that keep you in the mind. And this is where psychology is really interesting. But if you're not careful, it can just keep you in the mind. You can understand why things have happened the way they are and why you're getting the results you are, but you can't actually change them. And the only way to change them is to be able to love up the shadow. The way to love up the shadow is to move it from being your shadow, so that means depersonalize it. Instead of claiming it as you, it's just something that you're carrying within you. It's not you, it is coding that you have carried, that you have stayed true to, that as you are seeking to make a big breakthrough in your life, you are getting so much resistance coming up in your outer world, which is a projection of your inner resistance, because, oh my goodness, if you actually break through this and you have a different result and you succeed where so far you have failed, that means that you are basically claiming that what you have inherited as truth wasn't true. And that means risking ostracization, it means risking being separated from your tribe, being rejected by your tribe, annihilation, all this idea of somehow being persecuted for being in your truth. Now, the truth is we all are co-creating our reality. We're either doing it consciously or unconsciously. But when it comes to depersonalizing your shadow, what happens there is you start to move out of the victim consciousness that gets triggered every time the help that is around you is coming to you, but instead of you seeing it as help, you're seeing it as more of an attack on you, more of a representation of where you perceive yourself to be failing or going wrong, because the perception is one. The perception is one where you are wrong, okay? The perception is that no matter how hard you try, it's not good enough. The perception is all these old stories that are there, that you're living out, that you're trying to break through with your conscious mind, but your subconscious is staying very, very committed to. And that's where you do need to use tools, okay? So one thing is, when talking about things, look at what you're saying and look at how you're saying it. If you're saying it's really, really hard, then that's what you're going to be experiencing. If you are able to reframe it in such a way as saying, okay, I've been finding this quite challenging, but I'm seeking solutions through it. At the moment, I've been setting intention, and what's coming up is this. What I'm seeing is that every time a bill comes in when I have set the intention that I am prosperous and wealthy, is it makes me feel shit about myself. It makes me feel like I'm failing. So the shadow side is I'm a failure, my failure. I'm not showing up. I'm not doing this good enough. And actually, the work then that comes up is, okay, I need to love this bit of me that I feel is a failure, because what's happening is the people around me are projecting to me in my perception that I am a failure, because the way that they're talking to me, what they're saying to me is coming through the filter of I'm a failure. So even if they are not saying that, that is how I am perceiving it. If I allow myself to drop that story and hear what is being said differently, if I allow myself to believe that I'm not a failure, I've just inherited failure coding that I'm very happy to get rid of by loving up, what happens then? So if you look at the outer world and you feel like you are being attacked, you are being persecuted, you are being rejected, you are being blamed, then on the inside, those very same qualities, rejection, abandonment, blame, are what you are actually doing to yourself. You're giving yourself those very, very qualities. You are rejecting yourself where you're feeling rejected by others. So I'm going to use the example of jealousy. So let's just say that you're feeling jealous externally of things. Then the bit of you that isn't being loved by you is the bit of you that feels jealous. It's not acceptable to be jealous in your book, so you reject yourself for it. And what happens is the outer world is creating situations, or you are creating situations to your perception of the outer world, the filter of the outer world that makes you feel jealous. Now, when you get it that way and you look at it and you go, oh, all right, this is all coming from me, because actually I don't need to feel jealous. I don't need to carry this perception of myself that I'm lacking in some way. I don't need to carry in myself this idea that somehow I am wrong and I'm not enough, or I'm too much. But that's what's coming up. If I want to clear jealousy, then those are the things that I need to clear within me. The idea that I am too much, not enough, whatever it is that's there. How do you clear it? Through your tools. What tools do you use? Well, whether you clear your subconscious through the work that I do, whether you clear your subconscious through tapping, through hypnosis, through different things that are available, you've got to understand that when your outer world is not reflecting what you want it to, then you're not showing up the way that you need to in order to have a different experience in your outer world. And that is simply about what you believe about yourself. It comes down to worth, it comes down to what you feel you deserve, it comes down to whether you feel that life should be easy or difficult. And again, this is the conditioning. So to help you to depersonalize your shadow, remember that it's not your shadow, it is the shadow that you are carrying within you. This is the shadow, which is a collective of emotions, beliefs, perceptions that have been passed through to your cellular coding, your DNA, and you can release it. But to release it, you need to allow it to show up, welcome that it is there, realize that it's not who you are, it's not what defines you, and that you are choosing something else. So in order for something else to be possible, that requires you to actually love that bit of you that you want to push away, that you want to say is not okay, is not allowed, is not worthy of being a part of you. It's there. So if it's there, allow it to be there, and then give it a shift. Allow it to be something different. What would that part of you feel like if they didn't need to be jealous? What would that part of you feel like if they knew that they weren't lacking? Actually, in truth, they weren't lacking. If you can go there and you can start to see that none of the things you think are you are actually you. You are just love and light. Everything else is the lie that's come in to distort that truth. And you can and you will work through it. As I mentioned, my course supports you to do that. So if you'd like to find out more about it, then please check it out. Otherwise, just allow yourself to speak out loud to yourself. Notice the stories you're telling yourself. Notice whether you are in your mental body, because if you are in a constant state of thought, then you are feeding whatever thoughts that are in your state of consciousness. So it is important to give them all love, to give them all your approval, to allow them to be there, to say they are welcome, but also that they are not the truth and there is another truth, and just between you, you can accept that as a truth, and then you start to bring that in. Hope you found that useful. There'll be more coming over the week. I'm sending you loads of love. Do let me know what you felt. Lots of love. Bye.